you're the common denominator. Stop blaming that man or this man or your situation. And it was like my bitch slap to myself. It was like, you're the problem here.
The queen herself, and when I say queen, Erika Cramer, you are the queen of confidence. Hello and welcome to Powerful Stories. I'm so excited.
I'm so freaking pumped to be here. I love you. Thank you for having me. Two queens. We are ready with our pink.
Oh my gosh, we are so ready to rock and roll. Now, what I would love to kick off with today is I am such a believer that if you own your story, you own your power. And really understanding your story, you know, the good, the bad, the ugly, the fabulous, you know, where you are today. Like, take me back. What happened when you were born in the USA and how did you come to land in Australia married to the love of your life?
Yeah, wow. It's been 11 years now that I've been in this beautiful country of Australia. I was originally from Boston. Shout out to Beantown. And I grew up in Massachusetts to a single mom who was incredible. Like, my mom is my hero to this day. She's just amazing. And she struggled really badly with bipolar. So, you know, since she was 28 years old, she had bipolar. She would have to take medication. Being a single mother, we were on welfare, food stamps, we lived in the hood. And I think she did as much as she could, but the weight gain and her mood shifting, she would just get off her medication. Like any woman now as a mother, you know, we have babies and we're like, it's so hard, like having children, and then your body changes. And I'm sure she felt great and then didn't feel great. And so there was this on and off irregularity with her mood and how she was. And she would become physically abusive, unfortunately, and police would come and we'd get arrested and I'd go into a foster home.
How old were you?
It felt crazy because I was 2 years old. I didn't have my dad. My dad left when I was a baby, so I didn't remember him. And so my family didn't take me in. And I didn't realize that till I became older. And what happened was, I'm not good enough. I'm not wanted. I'm not lovable. Abandonment issues, you know, not feeling like I was worthy for someone to take me. And we know how that plays out, girls, ladies, in our future, right? So that was a really kind of turbulent upbringing. There was sexual abuse in the foster care system. In my house, when my mom got a boyfriend, there was sexual abuse there. So it just created this really hectic upbringing where confidence was not a part of the equation for me. I actually lacked so much confidence and I was really angry. Like, I was angry at the world. I was angry at God or whatever. I was just pissed off as a kid, fighting, did horrible in school, and had really bad beliefs about myself. So when I was 7, actually, my dad kidnapped me and took me away from my mom. And that really shifted the equation because my mom had been doing the best she could. We went to Puerto Rico, which is the Caribbean island near like Cuba. That's where our family's from. And she got into a really bad accident she was off her meds and we almost died in this terrible car crash. So I was 7 years old. I was in the front seat. I had a seatbelt on. Our car flipped 3 times. We smashed into a tree that prevented us from flying over a cliff into like this river, basically. Like, we totally should have been gone. And we walked. So my mom wasn't well. She was really paranoid. And she's like, we can't stop at anyone's house. Someone's going to rape us. Someone's going to take us away. Like, she had this trauma from her own past. And it obviously was triggered when she was off her medication. So we walked, Tory, for 3 days and 3 nights, slept in cars, on bushes, in steps, like paid a woman to shower at her house. It was crazy. It was like when I think about making a movie, I'm like, that needs to be a movie because I don't even believe that should happen to me.
And you're only 7 right now.
7 years old, yeah. And I don't speak Spanish. At the time, I'm an American kid. You know, I speak English. And we're in Puerto Rico. They all speak Spanish. We finally come across the police. My mom was scared of the police because all her life she was abused by the police. You know, I was handcuffed hands and feet at 5 years old. So we had really bad trauma when it came to police. So she runs away from the police, like sleeps at someone's house, and my dad gets called. And I don't know him. Remember, he left when I was 2. I didn't know who this guy was. I saw a few photos of him. And someone comes into the room where I am coloring and muffles my mouth, like covers my mouth. and like suffocates me. And I wake up and my dad's taking me. And
They
I'm like,
suffocated
I know
you?
that man. Yeah, because I was going to scream, right? I was going to be like, Mom, what's happening? My mom was, not well. So she goes off and goes to the mall, the local mall. The lady who we were staying with was like, yeah, go, we've got Erika. And as soon as I heard my mom leaving, this man muffled me. I like passed out, was so nervous and freaked out. And then I wake up and I'm in my dad's car and he's taking me. And he kept me for a year.
No
And
contact
in my
with your
head,
mom? No contact with your mom?
No, like phone calls and, writing and stuff. But he was like, send me the papers. She's going to stay with me. She's going to school here. We're going to transfer her. I'm like, don't know what anybody's saying because I'm English, right? All English. But we know kids are so good. So I learned Spanish in like maybe a month or two, forgot English, was contacted like back and forth with my mom. Finally, she got my dad's brother to come from Boston, come to Puerto Rico and get me. And thankfully I met my mom, and that's a whole like SBS special. When I saw my mom, I could cry. It was like, oh, it was crazy, Tori. She was walking in this like 7-Eleven shop. She wasn't home. I saw her car. I'm like 8 years old now. And I'm like, that's my mom's car. And the guy's like, okay. She comes out of the 7-Eleven and she literally drops her bag, starts sobbing. And I'm running to her. And I'm like, mami, mami, in Spanish. I'm like, mami, ¿qué pasó contigo? Estoy aquí. And she's looking at me like, what the hell happened? Like, you're here and you're speaking Spanish. And I had to learn English. It was
So
just
you
like
lost
crazy.
your memory recall for the English. You were completely brainwashed into another country,
Totally.
another culture. And then... Oh, I
know.
can't
It
even
was
imagine.
crazy. And we're mothers, so like someone taking your baby, and she raised me, like she's done everything, and to see your kid come back after 12 months, like she had to go be hospitalized, she had to go through medication again, go to a mental hospital, like which is the regular for her. She's been in all the mental hospitals in America, and like she's had to do all that, and now she's at the shop, and I come out, and she's just like, I can't believe you're here. And I have a 6-year-old, so I can just imagine how that feels. And I had to learn English again, back again. She got sick again. I went to another foster home, sexual abuse. Like it was just this cycle. And it was crazy because fast forward 2019 Christmas, my dad came to Australia. I was able to buy him a ticket, didn't tell my mom. She was here and we had a reunion. And it was like healing the lineage of all of my lineage. Like he told me that he didn't kidnap me. He rescued me because he thought my mom was dangerous. And my mom and him spoke and cried. And I'd never touched my parents, like my mom and my dad in the same room. And it was like just crazy.
But
Waterworks,
freedom in the heart, right? I guess it was the end of one cycle and an end of patterns for generations to then break through that.
Yeah. Yeah, it was, and I don't think she was ready to heal. Like, I don't think she was ready to see him. But it was beautiful to go. My mom has a story, and I know it because I've lived with her my whole life. I know her narrative. I know my story I made up, and I know his story now. And who's right? All of us. We all have our own point of view, and what a good lesson right now, how things are in the world. Everybody's right in their own way. So, to see that and to heal that with my dad and to kind of bring him back into my life was really beautiful, and 360 kind of healing for me and my mom and him. But at 16 years old, I was really over the foster care. I'm like, I'm not doing another foster home. I'm not leaving and changing schools. I'm going to do this. My mom went into a hospital, and I ended up telling a cousin of mine to speak to social services and be like, Erika's good, I'm looking after her. So I stayed alone at 16, paid bills, did money orders, paid rent. Like everybody at the bank knew me. And I just started looking after myself at that age. I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. So that was really when like adult Erika, I think, kicked in, and I joined the military. They came to my cafeteria, the army, and they were like, if you come to the army, we'll pay for college. Now, I was a terrible student. I was physically fighting in the detention center all day, every day, because I had aggression. Like that's how I took it out, where I lived. It was like, you fight or you get beat up, So I joined the army. I joined the United States Army. I went to boot camp after high school. What happens in boot camp? Well, a month into boot camp, 9/11 happens. The towers get hit.
I remember.
And I'm in boot camp. Girl, I'm in boot camp. They put us in a room. They turn on a TV. I'm like, we've never been in a room with TV. We're literally shining our boots. And they're like, sit down, turn on the TV. The second tower's getting hit. And they shut off the TV. Everyone starts wailing, like drill sergeants, like the scary South Carolina drill sergeant, typical looking drill sergeant is crying. And I'm like, what? Is this like for real? And they're like, we're all going to war. You will be going to war when you finish. And I'm like, I just joined to go to college. Like, I didn't join for war. Like, what? It was madness. My high school sweetheart was in the Marines. He got deployed instantly. We ended up getting married in secret. So no one, like if something happened to him in Iraq, they could call his wife, air quotes wife, because they don't tell girlfriends anything. It was madness. This happens. He goes to Iraq. We're secretly married. He comes home. We moved to Florida. I'm not doing anything. I'm in the military, like in my army uniform. And we're drinking and driving one night, Saturday night. I was 23. Don't judge me, right? That's what you do when you're young and stupid in America. Drinking and driving. We smash into a ditch. We hit a van. We hit a tree. I'm ejected out of the car and I break my back and my ankle. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm in the hospital for 30 days. I literally had to get, fusion, like metal bone fusion in my back. I can't walk. And I'm like, this is a disaster. Like, what am I doing with my life? It was like my first wake up call. And I'm like, all right, I'm going to go to hair school. I'm going to do something. Like, the military is not what I came here to do with my life. Start going to hair school at night, military during the day, modeling, bikini modeling in Miami on the weekends.
But the crazy thing is, at the moment, you're leading 3 lives. And you're like, which life do I choose?
It's such a Gemini thing for me as well. I'm just like, I want this. I want to do that. I'm going to do this. And, as you know from your life, like, I'm just like, if I'm not happy, what can I do? And unfortunately, the following year, my husband was out one night drinking and driving by himself. I was asleep going to my army 1 weekend a month thing. I went to bed and he got himself into a car accident. He wasn't wearing a seatbelt and he passed away. So he was out by himself drinking and driving one night and, he rang me at 1:20 in the morning. I was asleep. I wake up, he's not home. This whole thing happens. It was insane. And I find out he passed away. I have to go to the morgue. I have to identify him. I have to work out I'm like, I've never had anyone die in my life. And then this is happening. And I'm literally like, am I in a bad dream? Like, I can't function right now. I don't know what's happening. So it was the biggest thing that's ever happened to me. And I just numbed out after that for like 5 years. It was like black. I was modeling, trying to get validation, drinking, numb, dating idiots, spending. I got money from when he passed away, and I had all these money issues because I grew up poor. I got $100,000 from the insurance from the military, and I literally, Tory, gave it away. Like, I bought this boyfriend I dated $10,000 worth of Christmas presents. I gave a friend money to get her boobs done. I paid off his school loan. I'm like, repelled by this money, which is crazy. Honestly, I don't like to say broken, but I felt like a broken woman. I felt like damaged, broken, messed up, cursed. Like, what is wrong with me? Like, I can't get a break my whole life, and everything just stacked. It was like all the trauma, and then it exploded because I hadn't had anybody die, so I didn't know how to deal with death. And it was like, I'm out, like I'm done, like TKO, like Control Alt Delete everything. And that was really the thing. And I met a man in Vegas. I was really drinking and crazy. He was from Australia. I'm like, yep, I'm moving to Australia. He was a narcissist, but I didn't see it because, Skype boyfriend, hashtag Skype boyfriend.
You met him in Vegas. You had a relationship with him online on Skype, and you moved to Australia. Was this your escape plan, or did you think, I just need to get out of the cycle that I'm in America and I need to see the world with fresh eyes? Like, what was that pivotal moment? I felt like, first of all, he was totally different. He was European. He was tall and skinny. He wore like tight pants. Like, in America, like, I dated all the ghetto dudes with like baggy pants. I'm like, who is this guy? Like, is he straight? Like, because I don't know. It doesn't, and he was, right? I was like, okay, cool. This is so different. And because it was different and I felt bad and negative and broken, I'm like, different must be better than me. Yeah, you wanted to try something to shift the energy.
Totally.
Maybe he wasn't the right one, but you just needed to take that small step to go, what other lessons is life going to give me?
It was just this lack. And even the modeling, I look back at those photos and I'm like, wow, my body was amazing. I was beautiful. And I did not think that. I was such a call for love. I was such a look at me, validate me. I'm in massive lack, but I looked amazing. Like, I was so good. So I come here. He's not good. I moved from Miami to Mount Druitt. If you're Australian, you know where that is. High five. And then I'm like, this is crazy. What am I doing in this country? And even though it didn't work out, right, Tory, I was like, I don't want to leave Australia on a bad taste. So I was like, I'm going to stay. Like, I'm going to leave him. I'm going to move to Paddington. I'm going to build my work. I'm going to work at a salon. And then I got a job in Melbourne. I met a man in Melbourne who was literally the same guy, just a different face. Like, same energy, different face, same lesson. And he sucked. And then I joined a gym, met my husband, who was my PT. He was lovely. He was just a friend. I wasn't interested in him. I'm in this bad relationship with this other narcissist in Melbourne. And then he's like, he broke up with me on my birthday. What a nice guy. And my PT, Hamish, goes, hey, are you okay? Like, what's going on? And he's like, listen, I'm happy to introduce you to my friends. Like, come to my birthday party, you know? And I'm like, my service provider, my nail tech, and my PT are inviting me out. Like, what a loser. Like, I'm the biggest loser in the world. And I ended up going to his birthday, meeting his friends. Hamish was so lovely. And he's like, look, I know this life coach. He was super into spirituality, which I knew nothing about. I was actually really scared of all of that at the time. And it completely transformed my life in 12 months. Fell in love with Hamish. We've got babies and businesses, and it was like written in the stars kind of thing, but crazy.
Expect the unexpected, right? So this is the thing.
Yes.
And I always say, like, the lessons keep coming back and knocking you again and again, because I'm listening to your story about the 2 car crashes and then your ex-husband, who then again gets in with the drinking and driving, and the same thing happens, only it's his life, not yours. And then you've got these patterns, and then all of a sudden you just have to go, you know what? I'm not going to put myself in that box anymore. I'm going to jump out of it and think differently. So is that when you claimed your confidence?
No, I feel like my confidence came when I was on the floor sobbing and screaming and crying with my life coach.
This is good.
She was a clairvoyant life coach.
This is good. I've been there. I've had that experience when my daughter was asleep and I said, I can't cry. And she goes, you can cry, you can cry. And she was from Chicago, actually. And so my daughter, my daughter used to go to sleep at night, and I would literally I'd be like, and it would all just like be so raw and real. And I did this for a couple of weeks, and then I was like, oh, I'm ready now. I'm ready to transform. And I feel you need to actually hit rock bottom to hit sky high. So you had the tears, you found yourself, you found your power. What did that feel like, and what was the next step forward for you?
Oh, so I think when I looked in the mirror one day when I was in Melbourne, Losers Are Us, eating ice cream and watching Eat, Pray, Love and Sex and the City back when you used to rent DVDs at the movie store. I'm in the mirror and I'm like, what is going on? Why am I here? Why am I here again? And I looked in the mirror and it was like, honey, you are the common denominator. It's you against you. Yeah. You're the common denominator. Stop blaming that man or this man or your situation. And it was like my bitch slap to myself. It was like, you're the problem here. So if you work on you, you'll be able to change everything around you. And it was like, like one of those like moments where you're like seeing the light. And I'm like, I don't like that truth, but that's what I got to do. And thankfully, Hamish had introduced me. So I was like, all right, let's get a credit card. How much does this lady cost? Well, let me go to the retreat. Let me sign up to all the things. And, I was just like, I have to work on me. If it's me that creates this life, then it's me that can change it. Then it's me that can manifest the next thing. And that was it. It was like 12 months later. What I felt like was I felt responsible in a good way. I didn't feel like it was my fault. I felt like I was a victim, but I felt like I could empower myself to become a survivor,
Yeah. And so you walk in.
That's what it felt like.
As one person who's a little broken, and you transform and you take those steps and you walk out the other side. Who is that person? Who is Erika now?
Oh, this lady that we've built here, this queen that we've been working with. She is unapologetic, let me tell you. I tap into my Cardi B vibes whenever I'm trying to give a fuck what anyone thinks. And I'm like, what would Cardi do? She would not give a damn. She'll get her money and she won't care. So I was like, I had to build that. I really had to build the not caring what people think, because that was big for me. Like, my mom cared what people thought of her. She was always immaculate and said the right thing. And I had to just look at my darkest and deepest beliefs. My first one was, I'm a stupid Spanish girl from the hood. And that still comes up when I have amazing opportunities in Australia to speak to like corporate leaders or, big people. I'm like, oh no, but I'm just a silly, stupid Spanish girl that didn't go to college and doesn't know shit. And it's like, no, don't listen to that.
I am the queen of confidence here. Like, this is who you are. You got it.
This.
Yeah. So how did you overcome that? Because this is such a great question, because so many people say, I've got imposter syndrome. Sounds like you used to have it as well, right?
You know what? I think that when you start to see your yucky beliefs and you start to let them come and you listen to them and, you face that inner critic, which we try to make the inner critic sound like this cute thing, but it's you against you. So if you face yourself and you just go, what part of me right now is feeling triggered or feeling insignificant and why, and you get curious about it, then you want to uncover the story, And so for me, it was just a story. And when I started listening to that story, then I shrunk and I played small and I lacked confidence and I didn't believe in myself. And when I was like, what if that wasn't true? Then I acted accordingly. I stood up, I shared, I talked. I messed up like you. I know when we've spoken before, like we've messed up, you guys. Anybody listening or watching this, like we have fucked up royally.
I'm owning it. I'm
like
owning
big
it.
time. Yep. You fall down, you get back up. So I just started learning how to fall fast and get up even faster without looking if I was cut or if I had a scab or if I was bleeding. Like, I don't care. Let's get back up. Let's go. And so it really taught me, I think, to will I doubt myself? Hell yes. Will I feel like I'm insignificant? Yes. Is it going to feel hard? Yes. Will I be scared? 100%. Can you be okay with that? And if you can be okay with that, confidence, self-belief, all of that is available to you. But if you're like, it needs to be seamless and I want it not to be hard. Sorry, like nobody's signing up for not feeling hard. You don't get to claim your confidence and be a queen and achieve all the things you've achieved, Tory, or I've done without feeling the skid marks in your undies and feeling scared. That's going to come.
Raw and real. I love this. So this really is own your story, own your power, right? So then without any business experience, you start a business, which, turns over millions of dollars a year. I mean, come on. This is insane. And this is a story of like owning your story, owning your power, but also stepping into believing that you can create something and have a global impact. And this is what I love about you. So you have this business, the Queen of Confidence. I do not know one woman when I post about you who does not say, I love Erika, right? I love Erika.
Oh, yay.
No, I love this. And, she helped me claim my confidence. Or have you read her book? Or have you done her course? Or do you follow her on Instagram? I've heard her speak. I mean, this is so powerful and so incredible because look at where you came from and look at what you are today. It is extraordinary. How did you build this business?
Yes, I came here as a hairdresser, but I was a manager. So I loved the military and all the leadership stuff. So I ended up being in the army for 10 years, which is crazy. So I was like, I don't want to really do color and cuts. I really want to lead teams and I want to help them sell products. And I always had that, I don't know, that leadership or hustle or work or business purpose. I think it was always in us, And so when I came here, I ended up working for L'Oreal, which was amazing. I ended up working for L'Oreal. And then I had my second baby from home. I was styling women as well. I was doing these beautiful workshops, like styling confidently. We had champagne and we're talking about how to dress in ways that make you feel good. So I was always in the confidence game, but it was the external confidence game. It was the hair, it was the makeup, it was the nails and the clothing. And we know, I would be in an event and I would be looking at this beautiful woman. She looks immaculate, hair and makeup, nails, everything. I've dressed her beautifully. She looks in the mirror and she's like, but I'm still not good enough. But it was the inner confidence that was missing. It was like, we're culling her wardrobe. We need to cull her thoughts. We need to let go of the thought that you're not good enough. And that's what I needed to be working on. And at the time, I was going through my own personal development journey. So I joined this business cult. But anyway, I joined this business group that ended up feeling like it was a cult. And that was crazy for 2 years. So paying money, I had no business, Tory. Like I'm in there like, I love community. I'm a cult person because I'm like a foster kid. I'm like, yeah, this is so fun. And I'm learning everything about business, didn't have a business. And when someone came up to me and said, you look amazing. Are you a stylist? And I'm like, yeah, I'm a stylist. Sure. And I'm like, shit, what do stylists do? And I'm Googling like body shapes and how to be a stylist and started my styling business. So here I am doing my styling business, working on my trauma, like fully having coaching sessions, going to retreats, all this money that we spent on credit cards to improve myself. And my my styling business ended up becoming like personal development styling. So women were like crying and having all these like epiphanies. And I'm like, I really love this. Like, I don't care about the cotton and the linen and the horizontal stripes. I don't care that you're a banana or a pear or an hourglass. Like, I don't want to talk about that. I want to talk about the confidence side. So had my second baby, home birth, after a cesarean, terrible trauma birth at the hospital. Second baby at home. It was incredible. My husband's like, I don't know what happened to you, but you were born. Like this woman who was like, rah, was born. And I'm in the shower and I'm like, I don't want to do styling ever again. I'm done. He's like, what are you talking about? I'm like, I come downstairs. I'm soaking wet. I'm like, I just had a download in the shower, And he's like, what? And I'm like, I'm not going back to L'Oreal. I'm not going back to styling. I'm going to cancel that. I'm going to become a confidence coach. I'm just going to do the coaching. That's what I want to do. And he's like, we have no money. It's Christmas. We just had a second baby. We bought a fucking Tiguan we couldn't afford. We moved. It's a Volkswagen SUV because when you got two kids, that's what happens, right? We moved to this house that's massive rent, bought all this big furniture for the big house and killed our savings. And now we know better because we've done all the programs, but we're acting like we don't know how to manage our money. We don't know how to manage our lives. My husband's gym was dead because it was Christmas and people were ruining their bodies as we do on Christmas. And we were looking for coins to buy bread, like Baker's Delight, $4.50. It's $5 now, but $4.50 bread, looking for coins. And like, what are we going to do? We're in debt. We have to do payment plan to pay the electricity, payment plan for the water bill. Like, we were screwed, Tory. And here I am going, I don't want to go back to my $90K contract with L'Oreal. And he's like, are you on drugs? I'm like, I'm not doing it. Like, I'm done. I felt like I kept getting the knock of life. Like, are you going to do what you want or are you going to wait? Are you going to do what you want? And I was like, F it. Like, this is the worst time, but this has to be the time.
But it's actually the best time because the best time is when
exactly
you have that, oh my gosh, how am I going to roar, right? And then all of a sudden you go, boom, I'm actually going to step into it. And that's when you elevate and you get to that high vibration. So you just were like, fuck it, I'm believing in myself. I am going to step into it. You got it. I do it all the time. I love it. I always say to myself, what have you got to lose? You got nothing.
I know. And if you're listening to this or watching this and you too have went through hard shit, like, what do you have to lose? As you say, like, you have only something to gain. You've already done difficult things. You've already moved through the hard stuff. Like, get something from it,
So if you're listening
yeah.
and you're going through hardship at the moment, it's like switch your thinking. Look at it as an opportunity and a possibility. Mm-hmm. Because that hardship has brought you to where you are. And that's where you're able to step up and roar, right?
100%. Like, your pain doesn't come to mess you up. Your pain's here to up level you if you see it as that. Like, you have to. Like, you gotta, where are you gonna go from there? You already hit rock bottom. You might as well climb up now. So I was just like, I'm not listening to you, husband. I love you, but I'm gonna work. And I'm like, all right, I'm doing a podcast. I'm doing YouTube in my car. I'm doing whatever I can do, right, yeah. Tory? Like, for 60 days, I was everywhere except for Twitter, but I was everywhere. And I'm like, I built this little audience, started doing confidence events, and at the end of the event, I sold my coaching. I'm like, hey, if anybody want to work with me one-on-one, I sucked at selling from the stage. I was so awkward with my bad money beliefs, but we started, people started working with me. And that year, I ended up saying, I'm going to launch the Sistahood, which is our group coaching program. And I was like, I don't want to work one-on-one with women. I don't want to sit in my office with one woman who thinks her story is the only one and she's the only one who feels it. Look what you've created, powerful steps. Anybody listening to this, if you don't resonate with, every woman who you've had on the podcast, every person you've had on the podcast, someone in the audience is going, oh my God, me too. You feel seen, heard, and validated. So I was like, I'm starting this. Like, let's get women together to share, to heal our shit together, to heal our lineage, to talk about how we feel. And that year we made $160,000 in the business and I had no money experience. I'm a Puerto Rican girl from the hood from food stamps. And I created that myself, like me.
This is extraordinary. Because we know that so many women, only 3% make over 100,000 US, right? In the first year of business, and you've already cracked that code. And it's just got bigger, better, stronger. What would be the standout story for someone in your community who's claimed that confidence that you want to share? Because I always say, the power of the story and the power of people tapping into that and knowing they can do it too is so powerful. What's a standout woman who came into one of your programs or the Sistahood and you were just like, oh my God, I've got you. You know, like this is insane.
I have to say, Niki, she works in our company. She actually is the operations for Sistahood. And, you know, she came as a woman who wanted to like change her generational. She's Greek and she had this generational family shit. And she's like, I want to let go of that. I want to stop playing small. I have 4 kids, trauma. And it was crazy to see how hard she worked. And I was doing one-on-one back then, working with me one-on-one, then joining the group. Literally, she joined. Her mom is in it. Her mother's in the Sistahood. Her sister-in-law, her cousin, her sister just joined. And like she's changed her entire family. Like by one woman doing it. Her daughter does this work. Her daughter's like 13 and she's managing her mind and questioning her thoughts and not believing what she thinks. And that's the main kind of thing is I want to teach people to not believe what we think because it's not all true. And it actually, that's the only place we suffer is in our mind. If you believe that you're not good, how is that going to play out? If you believe you can do it, how is that going to play out? You know, so I would say her because she's just transformed her entire community. She's a leader. She's leading by example. She's like Gandhi, you know, she's being the change she wants to see. And it's changing her whole family.
Yeah, breaking those patterns is just so important. And I feel, you know, in this lifetime, I've done that for my daughter and I. And it's the best because you can see them just going, no, creating boundaries. But this is what I want to do. And I'm going to become fearless and courageous and I'm going to do it. And that's all you want for people. So I love that. I want to switch that around now in the conversation, talk about the power of connection. Because, you know, obviously you're a hustler. I'm a hustler at heart as well. And, you know, I built my first business into a global business through the power of 3 coffee dates a week, right? And I always say to myself, for 2 decades, I've met with someone in my tribe, someone I want to partner with, and someone outside my comfort zone. And you and I connected through partnership, right? Through Bambi Media, which is awesome. And, you know, when you tap into that network of your sisterhood or powerful steps, whatever it is, you meet the most insane women, right? So building a network is about community. It honestly, it's all about community. So I would like to ask you how you built your community and how you love connecting with people.
Yes. So I love connecting in person as much as I can. And I think I've always been, because of foster homes, I think I'm an only child, so technically only child can go one way. They love people, or they're like, oh, for me, it's only me. And I loved humans. I loved people and getting in community. So I think it was easy for me to build a community once I let go of the perfection. Beautiful. And that's very important because I have a video when I was broke, when we were really broke and I was changing my styling business. We had no money, yet we had, 30 women coming to a styling event February 25, 2018. We have no money. And I'm like, hi, so we're not going to have that event anymore. I'm going to refund you. I'm actually going to do a confidence masterclass. And every single woman was like, well, if I'm going to dress nice, I need confidence. So no one let me refund them. I shifted my entire business. I went onto Facebook and I'm like, hi, I've been living a lie. I don't want to do styling. I'm going to keep it real. I'm going to share my journey. I'm going to just tell you the real deal. If you don't want to be here, cool, bye, peace out. But this is me. And so I think the best way to build community, or the way I did it, was I was authentic as hell. I got on the screen breastfeeding. I got on the screen pretty. I got on the screen not pretty. I got on the screen and didn't know what the hell I was going to say and just said, hey guys, I actually don't know what to say. I'm trying out this thing called Instagram stories. It's so awkward. How are you today? And just started like, I have this thing that I say, if you want to build trust, that know, like, and trust, you have to get metaphorically naked on the internet. So what does that look like? As much as you show me, I'm going to show you. So if you're perfect and polished and you never share anything bad, then I'm going to feel like the perfection erodes connection, right? So I'm not going to feel connected to you. I'm going to feel like, oh no, my nails don't look good. My cuticle's dry. Oh no, I'm not pretty. I'm going to feel less than. So I'm not connected to you now. So when you can be imperfect and real and raw, people feel connected.
If you're not your authentic self, and I love the fact that you went out and you said, this is who I am. If you can't be that, you're not going to have freedom in your heart.
Exactly. And that's what we create. That's what I'm here to do. So I have women that share crazy stuff that they've never told their best friends, and they are telling 75 strangers in the sisterhood on Zoom. Why? only because I went first. I went into the flames and burned first, and now they're willing to walk the fire. But people won't do that unless you go first and you show them your truth, your authenticity. So it's like we meet women, and I'm sure you do too. They're like, I don't feel connection. I don't feel connected to, women are catty. I don't feel connected to women. And I'm like, well, then you connect. Are you connecting? No, then why do you want someone to connect with you if you're not open and friendly? Like, hey, let's chat. Like, you're going to get, rejected. So what? But you're also going to get loved, and you can't protect yourself from rejection because it also protects you from love and affection. You know what I mean?
So take the walls down. Take the walls down and just own who you are. It's so interesting because I remember when I was going through the transition from Tour Star to Powerful Steps, I was so worried about sharing what happened behind the scenes with us, and we did this 3-page feature with Marie Claire. And I thought to myself, God, I could go boom or bust here. I mean, all my clients could walk away and just go, what the fuck? But the opposite happened because I was so real and authentic and truthful and said, hey guys, for the last 12 years, similar to what you had said, it's like my life might be looking good on the outside, but on the inside it was terrible. And, my client said to me, what you did for our brands was extraordinary, but what you're about to do for women is going to take that to the next level. And that was when I was like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I took away the judgment because I felt like people were judging me for such a long time and they had expectations. But when I stood in my truth the way you did, you attract this natural community, this natural abundance because you're in alignment and you've stepped into your path, right? And your true self. So this has been an extraordinarily powerful conversation. I could talk for hours. And normally I say, right, we're going to have a 20-minute conversation. I know we're double here, and I'm going to keep this content in here because it is so good, Erika. And thank you for just sharing your truth, but welcoming us into your world and showing other people the power of standing up for what you believe in, and that now or never moment, right? It's like live or die. We all have that choice, and you've chosen to take that opportunity that you've been given several times over in your life and make the most of it and make a global impact with millions around the world. So my heart goes out to you. Thank you for sharing.
I love
everything
you.
today.
Thank you. Thank you for what you're doing for the world. Thank you for being a stand for women. Thank you for sharing these powerful, powerful moments and stories and steps for all of us to be able to find a GPS, like we listen to your podcast and you interview the most amazing people, and your story, you really lead by example. And I just want to acknowledge you
Erika,
from behalf of all the women in the world. I love you. Thank you for being who you are, honey. It's
I love you too. And I hope once we get out of lockdown, we can create some global impact together because watch out, y'all. Ladies, because we are going to power you up and you are going to go and claim the world as well, because inside of us, we can do whatever we want. We just have to believe it, and that inner confidence that you talk about it, all the time. And for me, it's like one step's a tiny step, but it's a tiny step forward into the most powerful step of your life. So thank you, Erika.
Yes.
You're welcome.
You, Tori.